If needlework is your passion, whether you're stitching by hand, machine, or mixing it all up, you're going to want to hear about the Mr. X Stitch Contemporary Needlework Prize 2025. This prize celebrates the best in modern stitch, and it's open to creatives from all around the world, whether you're a student or an emerging artist or a seasoned professional. And the best part, you don't have to send your work anywhere. Just upload high-resolution images to a private folder we will send you after you enter. You can enter more than one category, for instance, hand embroidery and 3D textiles. Just grab an entry for each one. And if you've got a student ID, you can get 50% off the entry price as well. The deadline for entering is 30th of June 2025, and entries are now open at xstitchmag.com/prize-entry. Thanks to our brilliant sponsors, Bookmarked Hub by Search Press and David and Charles, and the legends at Lowry Workstands. If you've got the stitch bug, this is your time. Show us what you've got. Enter the prize now. Visit xstitchmag.com/prize-entry to get your ticket today. Melissa Zexter is a Brooklyn-based artist whose embroidered photography explores identity, memory, and to me is akin to a sort of psychic experience, being able to perceive realms and spaces and conversations that we might not be aware of otherwise. This is the second part of our Needle Exchange. I've loved talking with Melissa. I've been a fan of her work for well over a decade, and it's just great to see how she has become so adept, not only in the layer of photography, but the approach to her stitching. And this is the second part of our conversation. So, if you haven't heard the first part, be sure you go back and check out our previous episode to make sure you catch up with that. But this is the second part, so we talk about tips for stitching on paper, how to embrace mistakes as they happen, and obviously we look at her cultural touch points, favourite music, literary influences, and a really spooky fact that not a lot of people know about Melissa Zexter right at the end, so I hope you'll stay to the end to enjoy that one. As always, it's lovely doing these needle exchanges. I've got a great range of interviews lined up for you moving forward, so if you've got recommendations of anyone we should feature, do please drop us a line. You can either DM me via the Mr. X Stitch Instagram or email hello@needle.exchange. I think that's 4 E's, you'll find. 5 if you want to include the one in hello. Getting carried away now. But yeah, if you do enjoy this show, if you've got the opportunity to leave a review on your podcasting platform, that'd be a massive help. I'll be back next week with a new conversation with a different artist. But until then, enjoy the show. And so then you were saying about the work that you're doing, you know, that's involving someone else providing text and that. I know you've done group shows, I don't know, kind of forever, I guess, haven't you? Do you work in partnership with other people? Do you ever do like little side projects or any of those kind of things?
Well, the things that I'm doing, the smaller side project that I'm doing now, I'm still trying to figure that out. And it's not exactly a collaboration, but I've been asking certain people for text. So I'm I don't know how it's gonna pan out, if it would be an exhibition eventually or what will happen. But yeah, I mean, I exhibit my work, some one-person shows, a lot of group shows, but I haven't really shown anything with the text work yet. So.
Still emerging. Yeah. Are you? Because you're in Brooklyn, aren't you?
I'm in Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah. Do you do the Textile Art Centre? Because that's been celebrating an
it's
anniversary
actually right
recently,
down the street from me. It's right down the street from me, yeah. I've been there. I've seen exhibitions there. I haven't done any residencies or workshops there, but I know a lot of people who have.
See, that's my aghast face. I can't believe I'm going to have to put in a word.
I have a lot of colleagues who've done different kind of workshops there and artist residencies. They have like a residency program there too.
Why? Yeah. Why? You're just down the road. Why?
I just work in my studio. I do my own thing, you know?
No, that's cool. Can you feel like you're heading in a particular direction with the work at the moment? Are there any, apart from this texting, you got any other new ideas creeping around the corner?
Like I said, I've been going to New Orleans a few times a year, and I really enjoy photographing there. And it's not really portraiture at all. It's more like these big old haunted houses.
400-year-old houses, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
old houses and the nature, the the vegetation, the nature there is so different. So I really enjoy photographing that, and I'm kind of obsessed with like willow trees. I've been photographing willow trees and moss, and yeah, I'm curious to see where it will go. I mean, I've done other things all along other than portraiture, but I always seem to come back to portraiture. But I've done other like embroidered photographs with landscape um, in the past, but with color photographs.
Okay. And you're quite happy to like just take loads of photographs and know at some point the embroidery part of your brain will work it all out and then like force your hand.
Well, I'm always taking photographs, um, but I often have a specific thing I want to photograph, and a specific person, and I'll say, "Can you come to my studio, or can I meet with you, and we can do some photographs?" So I have this very specific project in mind. So, but it's ongoing portraiture that's my interest really, and but like I said, I'm open to um, open to exploring other subject matter as well, or even combining it.
Do you have, given the length of time you've been doing it, do you have any tips for people who are interested in stitching on paper and similar surfaces?
Um, a lot of people ask me, how do you not rip the paper as you're sewing? And I think the way, you just have to hold it a certain way and be conscious of not, pulling too hard on the needle. And I know that some people like using heavier embroidery thread, but I tend to use a finer thread. I've never really been interested in the heavy embroidery thread, but I know some people like to use that, and I don't know what paper they're using, but when I'm printing on my own photographs, they're printed on like a double weight fiber based paper, which is, used in the darkroom. And then when I'm doing my digital color prints, I use like a kind of heavier textured rag paper, or like sort of like a watercolor paper. So it has a little more texture in it. So I find that the papers that are a little heavier for me are a little more sturdy or stable with sewing them. So they don't. But I've also sewn on thinner papers, so I think it's just the way that you handle your needle and thread.
I guess you can't rush it, can you? You just got to be quite careful, which is
Yeah, you really, unfortunately, you can't rush it.
Yeah.
It would be nice because some of them take so long to do. It's people are always asking me, how long does this take? And I'm like, I don't really time it, but you do textile work, so it takes a long time. Unless you're using a sewing machine, which is a lot faster.
True, but boo, sewing machines.
I know it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. All the sewing machine fans.
But I did use the sewing machine for a few pieces, but the way that I've used the machine, I've totally destroyed it. It's just I tried to kind of like go over it over and over it really to create thick sewing, and I don't know. It just doesn't agree with me, I guess.
And you've got this, there must be a trade-off as well, because it's like an engineering challenge, isn't it? You can only do so many stitches in so many points before the paper gets compromised. So I guess there's a bit of a conversation there, is there?
Yeah. I mean, I've layered stitches too. I've done a layer and then I've done other layers over it. And usually I'm fine. I really don't rip the paper. I think I'm just really careful the way that I sew, and if something does rip, I just stitch it back together again.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't mind mistakes. I don't mind irregularity. If something rips, just sew it up and make it part of the final piece.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, that's
for my particular work anyway. I know maybe it's different for other people. You don't want like
there's a spectrum. I'm finding there's a spectrum, right? There's a spectrum between the follows a pattern precisely, maybe cross stitches or whatever at that end, and then the kind of, I call it the Kaz Holmes wild zone, where somebody gives her a piece of fabric and, she just throws caution to the wind and has at it or whatever. There's like, it takes a lot of nerve. I was just going to tell you, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say that I know like a lot of people want very perfect looking pieces and for their particular art, but I really, like I said, I really don't mind things kind of going a little haywire and seeing where that goes. The mistakes are kind of what interests me sometimes, just because it can lead you in a new direction.
Takes a long time to get peace with that, I think, isn't it? I think it's something where when you've done your 10 million stitches or whatever, you're just like,
Yeah.
just a bit of
Or
chaos.
it's kind of frustrating if you finish a piece and then it's like, oh, this is not good. If you spend so many weeks or months on something and then it's just not, it doesn't work. And that happens sometimes.
And are you at ease with that?
I
Or will you like
prefer
put it and come back to it again and try and like redress the balance?
sometimes, but sometimes things just don't work. So,
Mm.
but I'm like always working, so the majority of my pieces, come out. I'm pleased with a lot of them.
And how many pieces have you got on the go right at this moment?
Right now, I think I'm just working on like 2 or 3 pieces.
Do you hover
Yeah.
your hand over them and go, I feel like I want to do that one today? Like, how do you decide which
You
one?
know what? Sometimes it depends where I am. Like I said earlier, I'm kind of my hands are like so addicted to sewing that if I go on a trip in the car, I'm going to bring a smaller piece with me. If I'm in my studio, I can work on a bigger piece, but it's hard to travel with, or if I'm going somewhere and I'm going to be away for a few days, I can just, carry something that's a bit smaller. So I have like a couple smaller things going on, and then I have a bigger one that I just work on in my studio.
I was going to say, I guess you can't, they're not as portable because you need them to be fairly flat and unwrinkled, don't they? The
Yeah.
pieces of paper. It's not
Yeah.
like you can bung it in a
Although
bag.
I have made some pieces recently, which are the ones that I told you about with the typewriter, that I intentionally, while the paper's wet, I kind of wrinkled it into a ball and then pulled it back out. So it has intentional creases in it, and kind of has a more fabric feeling to the paper because it's got these like it's been kind of crushed up.
Here's a dumb
So,
question that I don't know about photography, but if you did that during the process of like the picture being created, can you get like a sort of tie-dye effect because of the way the chemicals would adhere to the paper?
well, you could probably do that if it was in the developer. The developer's like the first chemical where the image starts to appear. And one thing that I didn't mention too is one thing that I've done on a few of my prints is while it's in rather than put it in the developer, I put it in an empty tray and I like spray the developer on or use a paintbrush.
Interesting.
So I've done that a few times, but it has to really be a particular image for that to work.
Yeah, it's nice though that you've got that realm of exploration sort of
Yeah.
up
And
your
the
sleeve.
thing with crumpling up the paper, I usually do that when it's in the wash. So it's done with the chemistry part and it's in the wash. So but there's lots, I've experimented with a lot of different things with photography.
Have you ever done anything that has gone horrendously bad and you've gone, I wish I'd never done that?
Sure. Probably a lot of things. Yeah, I can't think of something in the top of my head, but I'm sure I've done things that have been horrendously bad. Yes.
No, that's all fine. That's all fine. Right, let's go for some questions that are slightly less daft than the last question asked. Particularly as you said that you listen to a lot of music. Let's dive into that. Do you have a favorite band? Do you have a favorite album? Let's talk about music.
I really love Lucinda Williams.
Okay, I'm not sure I
Do
know
you know
who she
her?
is. I don't know. I don't think
And
so.
and I love it's kind of a cross between country, rock, and blues, and very personal stories behind her lyrics. And I also love a singer named Lydia Lovelace.
Right.
She's
Okay.
kind of cowpunk.
These sound like the kind of music that would almost run as a soundtrack to a lot of the kind of pieces that you produce.
I think so. I listen to this music. I listen to a lot of music as I'm working, and yeah, it could be that both Lucinda Williams and Lydia Lovelace, and I love a million other authors. I mean, singers as well. But those particular two, I think a lot of their lyrics do come from their personal experiences.
Do you think, I'm just, and this has just occurred to me, do you feel like your work is quite American? Like,
I
do you think you're
don't.
telling tales of America through your work in the same way as maybe some of these songwriters are writing songs about America, even though it's their experience?
I don't know because I don't know how to answer that really because I am American.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
don't know what else. I don't know what else I would be.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
not. It's hard. That's a hard question, I think.
It's
Right?
a well, sort of, yeah. I suppose there's like vernaculars and stuff, isn't there? There's ways that you
Yeah.
can go. I know that if I was to cross stitch an image of a bowling green, for instance, then that's a
All
very
right.
sort of English thing to do. And I wonder
Right.
whether what
Right.
you're taking are slices of things where you wouldn't necessarily find that if you transpose the image
Right.
to England, for the sake of argument.
Right. Right. I mean, I have traveled a bit, and I have taken pictures in Italy that I have actually worked on and sewn on.
Mm,
Um, but not so much the people in those countries because the people that I photograph are people that I know here, you
mm.
know.
Did
Um,
it?
but but I do like to photograph as I travel, and I've traveled overseas and I've been traveling in America, and I photograph what I see in those places.
Mm. Do the singer-songwriters that you're listening to, does that have any bearing on what you're stitching, or is it just a nice accompaniment? Does a certain song, would it direct your work at all unconsciously?
Um, Not really, I don't think, but the some of the lyrics really stick in my head. Sometimes I'll find myself throughout a day having this song in my head for the whole day over and over and over, or a whole week, and then I can't get it out of my head. It kind of drives me crazy,
Mm, mm,
And I've done something recently where I've found photographs that I've already printed, and I put them in my typewriter, and I'll type the lyrics on it that have been
okay.
going around in my head. So
Mm,
I'm listening to these lyrics, and I'm not making photographs specifically to match the lyrics, but I do sometimes place the lyrics with photographs.
yeah. Does that get them
Uh,
out of your head? Is that a really useful tool?
no, it doesn't. And I love this noise, and I've done that with both of those artists that I mentioned. And one other thing that happened that was really wonderful was in the case of this singer Lydia Lovelace. Maybe you'll listen to her after
Mm,
this.
mm,
I actually got to know her, and this summer, um, she lives in Columbus, Ohio, and she records some of her music there because there's a space there that's a recording studio, but there's also a gallery space there. So I was invited to do an exhibition there, and I had a one-person exhibition there. And at the opening and at the closing, her and her band performed, and it was so
oh,
wonderful
wow.
because I feel so connected to her work. So
Right.
that was extra special.
Now,
Yeah.
I just want to refer back to the conversation we had earlier about the fact that you've never done an album cover, and it
Oh,
feels like that should be happening, isn't it? I can't believe that. I mean, that sounds like a perfect synergy.
it does. So you should mention that to her.
Yeah, I will do. I mean, we are like that, obviously, lady I've only just ever heard of. But
No,
no,
but
I
I
will.
think that within this year I will do an album cover.
That'd be amazing. That'd be
And I will
amazing.
let you know because
Mm,
like I said, that's like one of my goals. So it's
mm.
gonna happen.
I did. There was another artist called Miki Sakato, I think that's her name, who I featured ages ago, and she ended up doing like some illustration for a children's book, and has
Yeah,
subsequently gone on to do loads of those. It's quite
yeah,
nice sometimes when the medium resonates in a certain creative direction.
yeah. I mean, I have done some work, like more commercial work with my embroidery. I did an ad campaign for H&M a few years ago.
Okay, wow.
They reached out to me, and that was really wonderful. Um, and I've done like some book covers. I've done editorial work with embroidery. People have seen my work, different magazines, and they have this article and they want to include like embroidered image to go along with the article. So I do freelance work, and I also do commissions sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
That's happened where people have seen my work in an exhibition, and maybe they don't want to buy that particular piece, but they would commission me to do a portrait of them or someone that they love, or and I don't often do that, but if the price is right, if the price is right, if the situation is right, I do that too. So.
And how does, like, doing commercial work and that kind of thing when it's within someone else's creative constraints, how does that sit with you? Because I feel like your work's very much, you're the director of your work.
Right. And it's different because, like, for instance, when I did that job for H&M, I did not take the photographs.
Right.
I was involved in the whole photo shoot, and but I did not take the photographs. And they had a general idea of how they wanted the thread to be used, but it was really kind of, a lot of it was up to me. And the same thing with a few different editorial jobs I've had. They've seen my work and they want that process to be part of, an article and photographs. And in that case, sometimes it would be like they had photographs they wanted me to work with. So I will do that, but I don't really consider it like my own personal work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you can be a bit kind of aloof about it, can't you? And just do as they're asking without getting too sweaty about it.
And I love that challenge as well, but it's just, it's a job.
Yeah, it's a palate cleansing sorbet to the otherwise enjoyable. Yeah.
But it's kind of cool because then people, a different type of person might see your work. Someone who's maybe not even just interested in or who doesn't go to a gallery, because most of the time people are seeing my work in like a fine art gallery.
But I also think as well, in the same way as a sweary cross stitch is a thing that gives people permission that can be a thing, stitching on paper is the same kind of thing, because people don't think that that's a thing. And then when they see work like that, it might be that resonates with them and they think, I could have a go at that myself.
Yeah, and that happens. That definitely happens.
Do you get people do people get in touch with you?
Sometimes people don't understand the involvement,
Yeah.
You might see your work and they're like, oh, I want to do that. And they'll go home and try it and do a few cross stitches on a piece of paper or whatever. And that's fine. That's great. But, and also interesting is sometimes people, like, a couple of weekends ago, I have in the artist building that I have my studio in, we have open studios every year. So people come in, and sometimes people will be looking at my photographs, and when I say, oh, these are, embroidery on photographs, they'll be like, oh, like they'll look at it and they won't even realize. Sometimes you have to tell people, that if someone's unfamiliar with looking at a technique like that, they might not even put it together.
You have to have quite a gentle touch sometimes, don't you? So as not to sort of make them feel bad about their own ignorance. Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Like that. It's also making me think there's an artist called Sarah Greaves, and I exhibited some of her work once, and she'll like stitch on like doors. And she'd stitched on a bathtub, and it's just like, that's like the next level up, isn't it? It's just going,
that sounds wonderful. I love that. That sounds wonderful.
It was quite impressive. Particularly, she did, with the bathtub, she did like phrases that people would think when they're in a bath and just stitched them around the edge of the bathtub and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that. I'll have to look her up.
Yeah, it was a good one, that one. Do you have a favourite book?
Favorite book? I read a lot of books, and I read a lot of different types of book, but I will tell you one of my favorite genres, and this is going back to music again, is I love reading like autobiographies or biographies of musicians.
Okay.
So I just read, it's not my favorite book, but I do enjoy reading, I enjoy reading biographies in general, but I love musicians' biographies. And I just read one by Kathleen Hanna, who was in the band Bikini Kill.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's called Rebel Girl. I read that.
That's their song, isn't it? Rebel Girl is like one of their,
I read that. And I also just read a book about Bruce Springsteen. Now, he's not my favorite musician, but it's a book about the time period where he was making his album called Nebraska, and now they're making a film of that book, starring Jeremy Allen White.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, right. He's going to be Bruce Springsteen, isn't he? In The Bear. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And so I just read that book, but I'm really interested in reading about people's lives. So I have a huge library of biographies, and yeah, so I'll read any biography, but especially by musicians I love.
Do you have any like big heroes then from like books you've read, people you admire?
Um, I don't know. It's usually, people that I already know about and I'm interested in the first place.
Hmm.
So, but I have to say, several years ago, um, do you remember? I kept seeing every time I went to the bookstore or the library, I kept seeing that guy's face on the cover of the book, the My Struggle. Do you remember that? It's a Norwegian writer. And I said, I've
Okay.
got to read this. There were 6 volumes. They were like as big as the Holy Bible. I read them all and it was torture, I have to say.
That's
But anyway, yeah.
very effortful.
I don't know if I enjoyed those biographies, but I got through it.
Is that Carl Ove
Yeah.
Nausgaard?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
He looks like he knows it. I mean, was it a struggle, or do you
Oh,
think he
yeah. It
was
was a
it?
struggle to read that.
It's,
I was,
yeah,
I,
that's
I
right.
was,
Never
I
mind
was,
his struggle.
I
Is it?
was angry. I was angry when I was reading that. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Do you have to finish a book? If you start a book, do you have to finish a book, or are you willing to
Oh,
walk away?
I try to. I try
Mm,
to finish, but sometimes I just can't.
mm.
But I
Yeah,
usually try to. I ride the subway a lot, so I've spent a lot of time. The subway is kind of my reading time.
hmm
And because there's nothing else, I'm not gonna like sew on photographs on the subway. I don't really want to do that. So so
You're
I
not going to
try.
get your jello out on the subway.
I
It'll
mean,
be too weird.
I could do that, but I do see people knitting on the train a lot. But
Yeah.
I'm not a very good knitter. But that could be a good thing to do. But I do read a lot on the subway.
Over
So
here, we've got Desert Island Discs, the radio show.
uh,
I don't know if you're
yeah.
familiar with it. And I think
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I quite like about listening to that sometimes is like listening to episodes of people I don't know, because we get that bias of like I read autobiographies of people I'm already interested in, but anybody who goes on Desert Island Discs has obviously done something worthy of getting on there. Must be some merit,
Yeah.
some heart surgeon or a person who's like works in a certain section. And sometimes
Right.
I think that's what's interesting, isn't it? Is to read the biography of someone you don't know about to
Thank you.
understand
Yes,
why.
I will do that. That's good. A good suggestion.
Yeah, just because you don't know like the merits of these people. A friend of mine's actually given me a book which has gathered dust on my bedside table, but about young Stalin. And apparently he
Uh-huh.
had quite the life before he came the Stalin that everybody's a bit unimpressed with or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
um,
I mean, I'm open. It's like there's so many things that I want to read, that I want to make, that I want to listen to, but there's only a certain amount of hours in the day,
Yes.
right?
One of the I've listened to this audiobook twice in recent weeks, and it's called Meditation for Mortals by a guy called Oliver Berkman. And he
Uh-huh.
used to write a column for the Guardian newspaper over here where he did lots of like productivity reviews and all of those kind of like wellness practice type things. He did like about 100 of them, and he reached a
Uh-huh.
conclusion, right, which I love, that we are finite beings. There's only so many
Right.
hours in the day. You're not going
Yeah.
to be perfect at everything. You're not going
Right.
to do everything you think you can do. So why don't you just cut yourself a slack? Chip away at a little couple of things that make you happy. Don't worry
Yeah.
about the state of your house when you go to bed, And I'm just like, that
Right.
pragmatism is so satisfying.
Right. It's true. You cannot do everything.
Yeah, you beat yourself up with this ideal image of what would be possible in theory, but you're just so miserable trying to get
I
there that you just
know.
think,
I know. That's one thing about being an educator is sometimes I realize, and I have 2 children that I've raised. Sometimes the pressure to be like good at everything does not make sense.
yeah, yeah, that's it. It's just like he wrote
Like
another book that,
you're lucky if you can be good at one thing.
yeah, yeah, honestly, I'm lucky if my children turn out to be reasonable human beings. I'll take that for a
Right?
win.
Exactly.
The fact that I've gone out today with food on my top, I'm just gonna shrug that off or something. But
Exactly.
he wrote another book as well that was called 4,000 Weeks, which is just basically saying, that's what we've got. So why
Right.
waste like 1,000 of your weeks trying to outdo yourself or whatever? It's just
Right.
like,
Right.
oh man,
Right.
I like that. Do you read much fiction, or do you tend to lean into
Yeah.
non-fiction?
No, I read a lot of fiction too. I'm reading this book right now called All Fours by Miranda July. Have you heard of it?
I haven't. I'm writing it down.
It's kind of well, I won't tell you. You can read it.
Now, what I like to do now is I like to get book recommendations that I can give to my wife because
Yeah.
she doesn't listen to the podcast because she listens to enough of me anyway. But
Right.
also then I just park them as like Christmas present ideas, you know?
Yeah, I do read a lot of fiction, so but that's what I'm currently reading.
Very good. Okay, and then the final thing is the sort of TV film based question, which I still haven't nailed down. Do you have a
Oh.
favourite film? Any
Uh,
good television programs?
oh, I do. I have been watching a lot of TV. Um, what did I watch recently? I watched the show Hacks with Gene Smart. That was good.
Yeah, I've watched the
Um,
first series of that. Yeah.
I just watched all Only Murders in the Building.
What, the new series?
Yeah, I just finished that.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
got
I
that
actually,
queued up.
oh, I'm gonna give myself a little plug. I have 2 photographs on that show.
Do you?
If you watched um last season when Meryl Streep was on it and she lived in a
Yeah.
studio apartment,
Yeah.
my embroidered photograph is above her bed.
Oh my God. This is going to be great, right? Because I like to annoy my wife by telling her how many degrees of separation I am from things.
Well,
And now I'm 1 degree of
well,
separation from Only Murders in the
if
Building.
you watch the episode where she's in the bedroom with Martin Short and they pull down the Murphy bed,
Right,
my
right.
photograph my
Is
photograph
it?
is behind the Murphy bed.
That's amazing. How did that
Yeah.
happen?
Oh, it's kind of a long story, but someone that I know works on the show, and then the set designer saw my work and was like, "Oh, I want to use this on the show." So I used that piece, and then he used another piece, 2 pieces on a episode where Selena Gomez was dating a woman who worked in an art gallery. That was a different season.
Wow. It's funny,
So
isn't it? Because I know of a couple of other people that have had stitcheries in the back of TV shows, and they're such passing things, aren't they? Like, you might
yeah,
not even know they were
yeah,
there. It's such a funny
I
thing, isn't
know
it?
you wouldn't know because and sometimes you get cut out too.
But at the same time, they're so deliberate. Like, your work is on that wall not by happenstance, but like kind of
Yeah, no,
deliberately.
it's very planned out. Yeah.
Did you watch
Um,
Did you watch The Bear?
yeah, I like that show. I didn't love the last season as much, but yeah, I like
Agree.
that the intensity of that show. I like that a lot. I'm trying to think what else I've watched. I just watched a Hitchcock movie last night,
Okay.
Rebecca. Rebecca.
Right.
That was
Right.
that was good.
That
Gothic.
presumably fits in your wheelhouse of artwork, quite frankly.
It does. Um, and what else did I watch? I went to a movie called Honora about a young lady, a stripper who lives in New York. That's currently out, that just won a lot of awards. I think it just came out the other day.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah.
that's what I've seen. But I love movies. I go to the movie theater a lot.
Oh, cool. Have you
That's
got like a
one
nice
place.
movie theatre?
Yeah, there's a movie theater down the street from where I live. There's a couple, and it's one place that I can go where I can just not feel like I have to do anything. I can just watch a movie and not create and not read and not teach and not be around my children and not do anything.
It's like a sort of noise cancelling headphone,
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. Awesome. Okay, so one fact that not a lot of people know about Melissa Zexter. I'm secretly hoping it's something you've already let slip, but I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know you want to hear this. So, I have seen ghosts.
Go on.
But
Love
I
it.
don't know. I'm not going to tell the whole. There's many stories, but
We'll come
yes,
back for the sequel. Melissa
it's
Zexter sees
true.
ghosts.
True. I thought you'd like that because I know you're interested in the psychic.
Yeah. Go on. Give us a bit of an insight. I mean, was this a long time ago? Has it happened since? Does it happen
It
often?
hasn't happened that recently, but it happened several times. But the stories are kind of too long. But I will tell you that one time I went to this different artist. This is back before I had kids. I went to an artist residency. Do you know the poet Edna St. Vincent Millay?
I do not. I'm very ignorant. Hang
Okay.
on. I'm writing her
Well,
down.
you can research that. And she is a well-known poet, but she had this estate in upstate New York. And I went there and I saw the ghost of her sister's husband.
Wow. Like a fully formed kind of, I mean, what was it? Was it
fully-
ephemeral?
A fully formed man ghost.
Wow. Could you see through him? Is it like on Ghostbusters?
No.
No,
And
could have been a solid
and
human being.
I was sleeping in a bed and I woke up and there was this ghost there. And in the morning, I said to the cook, because there was a woman who cooked for the residents, I said, I was a little bit shaken up, and I said, I saw this, man at the foot of my bed, and she said, "Oh, that's Charlie."
He's always
So
there.
I wasn't. Yeah, she's like, "You're sleeping in the room that used to be his art studio, and he often will come." And then the next month after I had left, a friend of mine was there, and she said that there was an artist sleeping in that same room from California, and I guess the same thing happened to him, and he kind of freaked out, and he went back to California.
What do you think then that for Charlie, he loved that place so much he can't leave it? Or like, what's your take on it? Why is Charlie there?
Okay, so I asked those questions of the cook.
Okay.
And the weird thing was that across the street from the building that housed the artists and the studios was the original house, the residence of Edna St. Vincent Millay. And the cook told me that I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. The ashes of Charlie and his wife are in the closet there, so they're unsettled spirits.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then, so the month that we were there were no televisions or anything. We were on the top of a mountain in the middle of February, and there was blizzards of like 4 feet of snow. And the cook lived next door, and she invited us over, and she said, "Would you like to watch this documentary on a video, a DVD, a video, whatever it was, of Edna St. Vincent Millay?" And we were like, yes, we were desperate to see anything, even documentary. And in the documentary, there was Charlie.
Wow.
It was the ghost that was haunting me every night there. Yeah.
So
that's one of my stories, but there's more.
Are there? So we'll when you come back, we'll do just the psychic episode. It won't have anything to do with needlework. It'll just be you telling ghost stories. But
spirits, right? The supernatural.
Do you consider yourself to be a kind of psychic person then?
In some ways, yes.
Do you know who's going to be on the phone when it rings? I mean, caller ID notwithstanding.
Well, people don't call much anymore.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
But my father and I had a very deep psychic relationship, and this is true.
Okay, that's cool. Can I get that with my kids? Do you think can I work on that?
I don't know if you work on it, it might come to you. You can really focus.
I do with them just putting their shoes on when I ask would be an achievement, quite frankly.
I mean, if I was fully psychic, I would be a billionaire, right? Because I could know the lottery numbers and I would know who was going to win the election and all that stuff. But I'm not that kind of psychic.
No, just your average everyday psychic.
Just the average, ghosty person. Yeah.
Ghosty, amazing needlework artist. Hey, Melissa, thank you for having a needle exchange with me.
Thank you so much. It was so wonderful to connect with you and see you on the screen.
Thanks for joining me on another Needle Exchange. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to email hello@needle.exchange, that's NEEDL.exchange, with any thoughts, comments or feedback. And if you want to keep up with all the news, sign up to the Needle Exchange mailing list at bit.ly/needle exchange. See you next time.